They call him a businessman, an entrepreneur, a patriot, a victim of political persecution. But follow the money, trace the connections, listen to the investigators, and a different picture emerges. He has been described by some as a businessman, an entrepreneur, even a patriot. But according to investigators, prosecutors, and regulatory authorities, another picture may be emerging, one suggesting deep involvement in alleged financial misconduct and possible links to organized criminal networks tied to illegal mining. Louis Liebenberg is alleged to be more than just a failed diamond dealer. Critics and law enforcement sources describe him as a possible architect of one of South Africa's most sophisticated financial and criminal operations. Born in 1964, Louis Liebenberg positioned himself as a visionary who wanted ordinary South Africans to share in the country's mineral wealth. Through companies such as Wealth for You Mining and Exploration, Forever Diamonds and Gold, and Tariomix, he allegedly invited citizens to invest in marine diamond projects along South Africa's west coast. His proposals reportedly attracted thousands of investors, teachers, nurses, pensioners, and working families, many of whom used life savings or retirement funds. The marketing material appeared professional: presentations, photos of mining operations, and references to concessions that, prosecutors now claim, did not exist or were worthless. According to the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, the scheme operated as a Ponzi-style investment fraud, where returns were paid from new investor deposits rather than actual mining profits. In 2024, Liebenberg and his wife Desiree were charged with fraud, theft, money laundering, and racketeering. Authorities alleged that billions of rand had been taken from small investors. Investigators also suggested that these ventures may have doubled as fronts for alleged money laundering connected to illegal gold trading, the first indication of a possible link between Liebenberg's finances and South Africa's underground mining economy. The next layer of allegations brings Liebenberg's story into the heart of the Zama Zama crisis, a term derived from isiZulu meaning to try your luck. Originally describing informal miners extracting leftover gold from abandoned shafts, Zama Zama activity has, over the past decade, evolved into organized criminal syndicates. These groups, often heavily armed, control territory, traffic weapons, and reportedly extort local communities. According to law enforcement briefings, the illegal gold trade generates billions of rand annually, much of it leaving South Africa through illicit channels. The trade is also linked to serious violence, with police acknowledging that some syndicates possess military-grade weapons. Over time, the Zama Zama economy has evolved from informal survival mining into an organized and highly competitive extraction network. These groups frequently clash over access to mine shafts, gold-bearing rock, and smelting routes. This has resulted in violent territorial disputes, including reported rival faction shootings in communities located near former mining infrastructure. Residents in towns across Gauteng, the Free State, and Northwest have described hearing sustained gunfire at night, sometimes lasting hours, as competing groups attempt to consolidate control over shafts and transport corridors. These conflicts have, in multiple documented cases, resulted in both fatalities and ongoing trauma among nearby households. In addition to violence, the structural impact of prolonged illegal mining is significant. The use of unregulated explosives and underground blasting has destabilized ground layers beneath residential zones. This has led to sinkholes, land subsidence, and structural damage to houses, schools, and public roads. Some communities have reported visible cracking through foundations and walls, while others have experienced sudden surface collapses linked to underground tunnel erosion. The consequences have extended beyond physical infrastructure. Families have been displaced due to unsafe housing conditions. Property values in affected zones have sharply declined. Local businesses have faced extortion-based protection demands. Individuals attempting to report illegal operations have been threatened or intimidated. Illegal mining areas are often unregulated and isolated, creating lawless environments where women are extremely vulnerable. Reports from South African communities near illegal mining sites indicate that women face heightened risks of sexual assault, coercion, and harassment from miners and affiliated criminal networks. This violence can occur in public spaces near mining operations, in transit, or even within households, especially when women are economically dependent on men involved in illegal mining. Beyond the immediate trauma, rape and sexual violence contribute to long-term psychological harm, social stigmatization, and, in some cases, the spread of sexually transmitted infections. The threat of sexual violence also limits women's mobility and participation in community life, reinforcing cycles of marginalization and fear. When law enforcement attempts to intervene, the response is not only violent but strategic. Illegal mining syndicates have allegedly made use of legal and advocacy structures to shield operations from police disruption. In several reported cases, organizations presenting themselves as community groups or advocacy NGOs have brought urgent court applications, human rights complaints, or media campaigns aimed at halting police raids, reframing interventions as harassment or unlawful targeting. Simultaneously, suspects have retained high-profile legal representation to delay asset seizures and stall criminal cases. Police officers and whistleblowers have also reported intimidation, threats, and pressure intended to discourage testimony. These combined tactics weaken policing efforts and allow illegal mining operations to continue, while those who allegedly finance or benefit from the trade remain insulated from direct exposure. It is in this landscape that figures like Louis Liebenberg allegedly emerge, not only as businessmen, but as financial and logistical nodes in a system that relies on capital, legitimacy, and political cover. If substantiated, this would suggest that the diamond investment schemes were not simply fraudulent ventures, but part of a broader financial network supporting criminal activity, the economic arm of what investigators call the Zama Zama mafia. When scrutiny intensified, Liebenberg aligned himself with former President Jacob Zuma and the Umkhonto weSizwe (MK) party, presenting himself as a politically persecuted businessman rather than a criminal suspect. He reportedly contributed 500,000 rand to Zuma's legal fund and appeared at MK party events as a supporter. Party members described him publicly as a patriot facing political victimization. Liebenberg has repeatedly denied wrongdoing, insisting that the investigations against him are politically motivated. Analysts and legal experts warn, however, that this kind of political affiliation can serve as a protective buffer, allowing individuals under investigation to portray their legal challenges as attacks on political expression rather than as legitimate prosecutions. This dynamic reflects what some commentators describe as the next phase of state capture, where political movements offer cover to donors facing serious criminal allegations in exchange for financial support. Former Police Minister Bheki Cele, during testimony at the Madlangacommission of Inquiry, described interactions suggesting a broader network of influence and protection surrounding figures like Liebenberg. Bheki recounted meeting businessman Vusimuzi Kat Matlala at Zimbali Estate, KwaZulu-Natal, where Matlala was reportedly protected by 23 members of the South African National Defence Force's Special Task Force, an elite military unit. According to Bheki, Matlala alleged that General Shadrack Sibiya fabricated evidence against General Dumisani Khumalo in a bid to settle internal police rivalries, and that senior political figures, including Senzo Machunu, solicited financial support for internal leadership campaigns. In Bheki's view, these events exposed a system where political financing, criminal enterprise, and law enforcement manipulation overlap. Liebenberg, he alleged, operated within this network, serving as a financier of both political and illicit interests. If these allegations are accurate, they depict a deeply entrenched ecosystem, financiers allegedly laundering money through fraudulent investment vehicles, private businessmen employing members of elite state security units, law enforcement officials accused of manufacturing evidence for political gain, political movements accepting funding from individuals under criminal investigation. This convergence of power, money, and influence has raised urgent questions about the erosion of accountability within South Africa's governance structures. While Liebenberg maintains his innocence, the consequences of his alleged actions have been devastating. Thousands of ordinary South Africans, many elderly or low income, claim to have lost their savings. Some have reportedly been left destitute, unable to recover retirement funds or pay off loans.